How's it going, guys? So I've had a few questions lately about my practice rail and how I built it. There are a lot of videos of like the triangle type ones, but I've noticed there aren't very many of the T-style, just a vertical spine type practice rail. So I'm going to go over the hardware I used, the brackets, and how I mounted everything. That way, if you guys want to build one, you'll have a better idea of how to go about doing it. Stay tuned. So as you guys have seen, this is my practice rail. Starting off with the spine, the backbone of it, it is a 2-inch by 10-inch by 10-foot board. If you can get a 12-foot board, go with that. The 10's great, and depending on the room you have in your driveway or where you're going to store it, an 8-foot, a 10-foot's great. But I'd love to have 2 more feet. You guys have probably seen where I go to get one last switch in and I'm just hanging on right at the end of the rail. So starting at the bottom with the bracing, for that I used a 2x4 by 8. So I got an 8-foot 2x4. I knew that way I would have some extra if I wanted to put a support in the middle. And if I ever broke or chewed these up, I could always swap it out, make another one. So that's what I used for these. Also, with these on the end, these are cut from the same 2x4. Just cut a little chunk off, 2 inches wide, and that keeps the end of the rail from tipping up when you're out past the support. Now it's just under the main rail, so it's flush. So little added support without being in the way. Try to get this where you can see it. RB is the company. This is 5-inch by 5-inch. Same length either side. While I have that off, I'll show you. These, I believe they're 1 1/8. And so going down into the board, I couldn't use the 3-inch. And also going this way, I couldn't use the 3-inch because they'd come through the other side and into the ground here. So number 8 by 1 1/4 inch screws, and like I said, those were used to mount the bracket on through here and through the spine. I guess that's a good time to show you. It has 3 holes that are offset. So when you're doing these, you want to place it on there. These 3 especially, you want these to be slightly offset from the other side. Otherwise those screws might run into each other. They probably won't, but that's just the way I did it. I mounted them slightly staggered so that both of them had room to get a good bite of the wood and they weren't just chewing up the wood in the middle. So I'm gonna get this mounted back on. Alright, now if we flip the rail over, you can see on the bottom here and here, I used 3-inch screws to attach that to the spine. So 2 there. Likewise for these end blocks, I used 2 3-inch screws. Now when you find where you want to put these, I believe I went 12 inches from either side, just to give myself a little bit of room to get on the rail. I believe that's 12 inches. I'll measure it, I'll let you guys know. But once I found where I wanted these to be, I made sure it was square, and I used a drill bit that's slightly smaller. That's slightly smaller than the screw you're going to use. And I don't mean the threads, but the actual shank, the center of the screw. You want a drill bit just slightly smaller than that. That way all the threads will bite, and also the shank will be tight to the wood and give it a little bit more grip in there. But I'll show you the drill bit that I used. So just slightly smaller than the shank. For my kit, that's a 1/8 inch. And you don't need expensive drill bits. Like if you guys don't have this stuff at home, don't worry about buying the most expensive, because all you're doing is drilling wood. You're not drilling metal, so you don't need the hardest carbide bits that you can find. This was like, I think on sale for like $4 maybe. So yeah, and that's right to the end of, well, more or less right to the end of the wood there. Right at a foot. So each support, both sides, are a foot from the end of the spine. Okay, and now for actually mounting the PVC to the spine, I started at this end, and this doesn't have to be perfect, guys, so don't get in your head too much about it. It'll hold together just fine. From either side, 1.5 inches, that way just to let this end have some rigidity. If it was too close, that might break and chip off right there, and you don't want sharp edges at the end. And all I did was take a Sharpie and mark where I was gonna drill them. From that end hole, looks like 11.5 inches from that hole. Doesn't have to be perfect. That hole to that hole is about a foot. That one's a foot. So I went in foot increments down the rail. So I had to shorten up there to 10 inches. That way I could still have my 1.5 inches on this side as well. So, and again, this is for a 10 foot rail. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 holes total. And like I said, this is 1.5 inches on either side. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not, as you can see, like the rail's still just as straight as can be all the way through. It hasn't warped or twisted or bent or had like a weak spot or anything. So foot increment will do you just fine. Now, while we're talking about the PVC, I'll show you how I mounted these. Drill bit, and I put it on my drill so that it was just holding on the end. That way I could reach all the way down through the pipe, get the hole started in the wood where I would want it, take the pipe off, finish drilling down. I did use the 3-inch screws to mount the pipe as well because I wanted it to be good and solid on there. And I used these small washers, anything that you can find that'll fit over this screw. And that'll just give it a little bit more reinforcement under that head. Drilling the holes for your screw to go through, you want that top hole to be bigger because the head of the screw needs to fit down through the pipe. So what I did, found one of my drill bits that was just bigger than the head of the screw. What I did with that is I just drilled through that top piece of pipe. Not through the bottom, only through the top. It's a good idea to do your ends first. Get this one in, and get the screw in. Do the other side, and that way the pipe will stay right where you want it to. As you work down, you can hold it and kind of adjust the pipe back and forth to make sure it's center with the wood. That way you can run all the way down and get your hole straight. So what I did was drill through and mount the actual screw on either end, and then I worked my way through the middle. I'm going to show you guys just a quick reason, why you want to drill holes first with a drill bit. But I'll show you why, a very beneficial reason why to drill it first. Okay, so say we want to mount this onto here. We got our drill bit in there. What we're going to do is say, we have our measurement wherever we want to put it. Just go right center. You put the piece of wood, or the two pieces that you're going to put together, you lay them right where you want them to be. Go ahead and drill your hole. So now you have a hole through one piece and your hole through the second piece. The benefit of doing it this way, it may seem like it takes longer, but in reality it's going to save you time and effort later on. You take your screw, you put it in that top board in the hole that you just drilled, you start it down through, and as you can see, got a little bit poking out. Lay it right on that second board, and it's right in that hole. It's not going anywhere. So now, all you have to do is make sure it's right where you want it, and drive them together. Now it's there. I hope this video is helpful, guys. If you have any questions or if I missed anything, please bring it up in the comments. I probably did miss something. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helps you to build a practice rail for yourself, because it really is a great tool. It's a lot more fun sometimes to just be able to walk out your front door on a nice day and go skate. Quick little recap. A 2-inch outer diameter by 10-foot piece of PVC. Got the 2-inch by 10-inch by 10-foot board. Got a 8-foot long 2x4 to make the supports. 4 L brackets. You're going to want a set of drill bits. They don't have to be expensive. A saw. Wood saws work better, but I had a hacksaw, so that's what I used, and it'll cut wood just fine. A drill. A Phillips head screw bit, or whatever type head that you use. Measuring tape. A marker helps. Like I said, drill bits. You may need a bigger one for this top hole to get the screw head through. You want some number 8 by 1 1/4 inch screws. Those are going to be used for the bracket. Number 8 3-inch screws. These ones are going to be used up through these supports into the spine. So 2 of them up through into here. For these end supports, there's also 2 up through into here. And then for your pipe, there was, what do we say, 11 holes all the way down through. So that's it. It really doesn't take much. It takes a little patience. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. And I'll answer any questions you guys have. Thanks for watching. See ya.